A half-century ago, a man now known as D.B. Cooper skyjacked a commercial airplane and then parachuted out with $200,000 in $20 bills in the dark, in the rain, with almost certainly no specific idea of where he would land. And this area is some of the most rugged wilderness in the lower 48. The FBI would screen over 1,000 suspects, and the world's most sophisticated spy plane would fly over the suspected drop zone. But they turned up nothing. He was gone. Now, most people today look at this mystery and ask the question, who was D.B. Cooper? I'm gonna do something different. I'm asking the question, could he have survived?
Night before Thanksgiving, 1971, a guy named Dan Cooper goes into the airport in Portland, Oregon, and buys a one-way ticket to Seattle, Washington.
He's wearing a suit, a clip-on tie, and smoking Raleigh cigarettes, and orders himself a bourbon and soda after takeoff. About 20 minutes into the flight, he hands a flight attendant a note and shows her that he is carrying a bomb in his attaché case. His demands include $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes. When the plane lands in Seattle, he lets the passengers get off the plane but insists that the flight crew stay with him. The cash is delivered on board to him in a duffel bag. 10,000 $20 bills weighing 22 pounds.
The people that prepare the parachutes for him are fearing that he is going to take hostages with him. So they hand him good functioning parachutes.
The plane lifts off from Seattle. Cooper ties the ransom money to himself using parachute cord pulled from one of the spare chutes. He demands to be flown to Mexico City. The pilots say that can't be done without refueling. So they agree to a pit stop in Reno, Nevada. But somewhere south of Seattle, Cooper climbs out on the rear stairs. At night, in the rain, in the dark. It is -7 degrees Fahrenheit at his altitude. He jumps and vanishes. In interviews with investigators, the pilots later estimate his jump time at 8:17 p.m. based on a pressure change in the aircraft caused by the rear staircase closing shut after Cooper's weight was removed from it. This timestamp helped investigators narrow in on what they believed to be his drop zone.
To understand D.B. Cooper and to understand the mystery, I feel like I need to understand the audacity to bail out of a plane. We are at altitude and ready to go.
Oh, we're going? Damn. Holy man. Dude, that is the craziest thing, man. To get to a moment like that, just to be petrified, that's petrified with total professionals, clear day, sunny day, we can see the drop zone, and it's still scary. Take that and imagine D.B. Cooper, like, not quite sure where he is, the sort of chance that you're gonna land in the water and drown, the chance that you're gonna land on a broken off snag, the chance that you're gonna impale a fence post, and then be like, bail? You're talking about a special individual.
The FBI would screen literally thousands of suspects in the coming decades. One of the primary commonalities among these suspects would be parachute experience, likely from a military background. This information supports the theory that D.B. Cooper likely had military training and could have survived the jump. But could he have survived the escape through some of North America's most rugged wilderness on a freezing November night, wearing nothing but a suit and dress shoes? To understand the complexity of answering that question, I'm taking a ride with citizen sleuth Eric Ulis. Eric has dedicated over 13 years to studying this case, generating leads and tracking them down. We're on the Lower Columbia, the Pacific Northwest's largest river. It's here, just downstream from Portland, at a place called Tena Bar, where the last physical evidence of D.B. Cooper turned up. It was $6,000 in half-rotten 20s, matching serial numbers of the ransom money, found just below the mud surface 8 years after the hijacking, when a young kid, Brian Ingram, was on a family outing digging out a place for a campfire. Now, you might think the money would have answered some questions, but honestly, it just deepened the mystery. For one thing, the money was upstream of the FBI's drop zone, meaning that if Cooper dropped some of the money or had it blown away from him in the air, this is not where it would have flowed to if it had landed in a creek or river. So, it would have needed to get there some other way. Could this be a clue that old DB did survive and escape?
All right, so this is exactly where the money was found in 1980. If you see that boulder right there, the furthest one sticking out right in front of us.
Yeah, I got it. Up like here.
Yeah, and go out about 25 feet.
Out.
There you go. That's basically where the money was found, right out there, which right now is probably about 1.5 feet deep of water. Of course, back then in 1980, this was a beach. It was about 9 feet high, and it sloped down into the river about 100 feet from where we are right now.
Yeah. In what form was the money in?
Well, the money was basically 3 clumps, and they're really very rotted, very decayed.
And you have one of those bills.
I have one of those bills right here. Let me pull it out for you. Here's one of the $20 bills that was found. So this $20 bill that you're holding right here is the real deal. It came from D.B. Cooper's ransom, the serial numbers on the bill, so that's been verified. And this $20 bill was one of the $20 bills that was retrieved right here February 10th, 1980.
And that's what it looked like when he found it?
That's exactly correct. You can see that obviously it took some time. That money was buried for quite a period of time in order for it to rot to the degree it has and for the money to shrink as well. And there are a number of reasons why. There's scientific evidence that the money had to have been buried by a person, because you got 3 separate packets. That's the first thing.
Separate packets?
3 separate packets right on top of each other, buried just below the surface.
Not bound together in any way?
That's right. As far as we know, they weren't bound together in any way, and there's no other possible explanation other than that money was buried by a person, by a human being. And if the money was buried by a human being, my money's on it being buried by D.B. Cooper.
Eric is not the only civilian to try decoding this case. Since 2007, when the FBI opened the case files, the curious public has scrutinized old evidence with fresh eyes. Their analysis on items like the Tena Bar money have injected new life into the decades-old mystery, though to date, they haven't moved the needle toward finding a suspect or recovering the rest of the money.
How does the money being here, how does that mean to you that he lived?
So I think in the case of D.B. Cooper here, we're dealing with somebody who wasn't a career criminal. This was likely a one-off event. He was well-educated.
Okay.
Now, I believe the money tells a story. It's a complicated story, but it tells a story nonetheless, and it speaks to the truth. And I think the larger, more important thing that it tells us is that in reality, D.B. Cooper probably survived that night, that he buried the money temporarily right where we're standing here.
Yep.
Came back months later, retrieved most of it, but 3 of these packets got left behind, and the rest is history, as they say.
It's certainly a compelling case. Finding this money here, coupled with what I learned from veteran paratrooper Mike Davis, is leading me in the direction that not only did Cooper survive the jump, he likely escaped.